Migrant communities across the country bracing for possible raids. The Pentagon will begin deploying as many as 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the southern border in the coming days.
All right, deportations in cities like New York could start soon. Our Jessica Formoso sat down with the commissioner of the mayor's office of Immigrant Affairs to see how they're preparing.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program.
Before he was sworn in, President Donald Trump was vocal about initiating the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. And in his first day in office,
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
While details of how and when are scarce, the commander-in-chief has said he plans to mobilize the U.S. military to enforce the operation, an operation that has many migrants on edge.
No me siento seguro.
I do not feel safe. I do not feel safe. Jason Gonzalez arrived in New York City from Venezuela with his wife and 3 children in October. They've been in the city's care ever since. First placed in Floyd Bennett Field, a makeshift shelter on a national park, which is federal property.
Teníamos mucho temor.
We were very afraid because these are federal lands where we fear that with President Trump's return to the presidency, we could witness raids here. That shelter was closed earlier this month. So what would mass deportations look like across the country?
They're talking about workplace raids, family separations, strict restrictions on new immigrants, and potentially deporting, they say, 11 to 20 million people.
We have more than 16 million people in the United States who don't have full rights to be here.
Musafir Chisti is an attorney and senior fellow and director of the Migration Policy Institute at New York University School of Law. He believes deportations will happen. As to how many people could be deported, that remains to be seen.
I think you have to take the administration on its word that there will be some kind of mass deportation. What mass is, no one knows.
Laws, due process, he says, need to be followed, but the fear is real among the community. Jason worries schools and other sensitive locations may be targets.
Como que adoctrinar a los niños a saber qué van a hacer.
We are training our children to know what to do if something happens. It makes me very afraid that they could pick me up in the streets and never make it back home to my children.
Colocándole toda su documentación en el morado.
We are placing all their documentation in their backpacks, telephone numbers, so that they are prepared.
It's important not to allow panic set in.
Manuel Castro is the commissioner of the mayor's office of Immigrant Affairs. Over the last 2.5 years, he says, over 220,000 asylum seekers have arrived in New York City. Today, 51,000 remain under the city's care. That's not counting the hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants living for years across our city.
Does the city have a plan?
First thing is to make sure that our city staff at all levels is trained on our sanctuary laws and our sanctuary city policies. Now, as city employees, we cannot cooperate with enforcement, but we also cannot interfere with enforcement.
But what will the city do if such plan is carried out?
There is only so much we can do to protect immigrants. The federal government has said they will enforce immigration law whether they receive support from cities or not.
Has the mayor or yourself or anyone in the administration been able to speak to the incoming administration? Have they been able to prepare you for anything?
There's so much that's still unknown.
Mayor Adams, who has met with President Trump, has been vocal about deporting migrants who have committed violent crimes.
People who commit these violent crimes must be addressed. And that is our conversation with ICE.
For now, all Jason and his family can do is be prepared.
Las primeras semanas van a ser.
The first few weeks are going to be very scary for all of us.
Como te dije.
I did ask the commissioner if there's a plan in place, if families are separated, is there a place they can go to get information? The commissioner telling me that they're thinking through what a scenario like that would look like. In the newsroom, I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News.